Moises, just for a few moments, tell us a little bit about yourself from your life and work.
I was telling the provincial that I wanted to start doing pastoral work, not teaching. But the provincial said, well, you are going to be only 1 year in the school. And there you have many good Jesuits, many good friends. And after 1 year, well, you will be free and you could go to do pastoral work. But as a matter of fact, the provincial told me later to stay here for almost 22 years in the school. And I enjoy very much the teaching work here in the school. And I have many good friends. And then I had, at the same time, I had pastoral teaching work in the morning in the school. And in the afternoon, I was able to go to a small town nearby, San Isidro de la Cruz Verde. And I was helping there for 13 years. And no, I was not a pastor, I just was helping the community. The pastor was Monsignor, the Cardinal Obando. But anyway, I was free to work in the different communities of San Isidro, realizing the situation of their lives, that there were several communities that they didn't have electric light. I applied to Holland and presenting a program that we could use it here. So they gave me $15,000 to foster an electric plant. So I was able to bring electricity light to 5 communities. So then people used to say that I brought the light.
Brought the light.
No, the
light.
I brought the light to them. Still today, when I go there, they always remember that, you know. And I was baptizing, preparing people for marriage, saying mass, having groups with communities, planning with the people what we could do. So it was about 13 years here in San Isidro.
But while you were living here in this house?
But I was living here, so I was there. But at that time also, since this was at the beginning of the revolution, one of the things I had to do is, because the Somoza was killing a good number of boys in this area, and they throw then the bodies in the roads, so when they realized that there was a man or a woman that was killed, they always told me, and then I, with the help of a teacher of the school, we tried to bury them in, but always we took a picture of them so that then in the future we could to see if we could find the family, because as a whole we didn't know who were the people who were killed. So I had to bury 12 or 15 people in this area.
People who had been killed by Somoza's National Guard.
By Somoza army. Yeah.
And then shortly after the triumph of the revolution, you were involved in the literacy crusade, right?
Oh yeah, well, then when I finished I was thinking to do pastoral work in Ometepe. So I asked the provincial if I could go first to help for alphabetization in Moyogalpa. And this way I was thinking, well, I will be able to know how is Moyogalpa, how are the surroundings, how are the people, and perhaps later I will stay there. So this is how I got to know well the community, and I was working. In the morning, I was working with the community, with the people. In the afternoon, after lunch, I had classes for alphabetization. And at the end of the day, we have the mass and so forth. So it was a very good opportunity to know the people there. And they received me because at that time, at the beginning when I went there, the pastor died in an accident, in a car accident. And the bishop was wondering who could go to Moyogalpa. Well, so I was at the funeral mass with a group of people, with a group of priests, and at the end of the mass, I noticed that the people wanted to hear something from the bishop, telling, well, you are not going to be alone. So I was waiting to see the bishop said something, but he didn't say. Finally, I have to tell the bishop, Monsignor, the people are waiting to know if they are going to have a priest or not. And well, finally the bishop told the people that I was going to stay in Moyogalpa, in Altagracia. For at that time, there was no priest in the island. So I was all alone, and the only priest in Ometepe. So I had to take care of Altagracia and all the small towns, and Moyogalpa and the small towns. So that, and then I slept in Altagracia. I said 2 masses or 3 in the morning on Sundays. Then I went to Moyogalpa. And I said again, well, this was, I stayed for until the bishop appointed a new priest. I was thinking the people need the help of a priest here.
Yeah.
There is no one right now, so I'll be glad to stay to help them. Because at that time I knew quite well Moyogalpa and Altagracia and a few small towns.
You've always expressed in your work option for the poor,
Yes.
what's it called? The option for the poor, and also the need to struggle for justice as part of the good news for the poor. How do you see that aspect of working for justice as part of our Jesuit ministry?
Yeah, because I always had the idea that if you present the gospel, you are presenting the people an option for justice. and to give the people an opportunity to have a better life. A better life. That's why when I was here in San Isidro, then, well, we thought that if we could give them the electricity, well, we will do. But in Ometepe, I was alone for about, I think, 5 or 6 months, all alone. Then the bishop finally appointed a pastor for Altagracia, and at the same time, he was pastor of Moyogalpa. But I was doing the work in Moyogalpa as if I were the pastor, completely. And many, frequently, the pastor would call me from Rivas. The pastor lived in Rivas. So frequently he wouldn't be on time for weddings or for things like that. So we would call me by telephone. Please help me, I cannot go on time. Okay, so don't worry, I will. And then we were planning. I had a permission from the provincial to remain in area of Moyogalpa.
Just one more question, Moises. You mentioned your work on getting light, bringing light to San Isidro. Now, in your pastoral work, have you been involved either directly or in a supportive way of people's organizing themselves to struggle for change, to struggle for some benefit or some kind of justice?
We had frequent meetings in the different communities, talking about the spreading of the gospel and talking about the needs of the people. And one of the needs was that they didn't have electric light at night. So then with the people, we decided to present a project to Holland. And Holland approved my project and sent me, I think it was $15,000. I was planning to send electric light to more or less 150 homes. But through working also with the government, that time was Somoza government, working with the government, I said, well, I am going to give you this and that and the other things. You have to help me also. So they helped me also. So we were able to give electric light to 250 families. And after that also, and I didn't finish to spend all the money. I spent only 10,000. So when the man from Holland came here, I said, well, I have left still 5,000. What do you think I should do? And he said, well, give it to the other priest. It was another priest from the house that was going to work in San Isidro.
Why did you go to Antigonish and when?
Well, when I was studying theology, in my second year, I started to read different magazines about the social problems of the states and the social problems of other countries. And then I found that in Canada, in the province of Nova Scotia, they had a university that was specialized for students of all the world. So I was reading that they were working very well to help the poor people of Nova Scotia, which was the area, the poorest area apparently of Canada. So I got in contact, I wrote to the University of St. Francis Xavier in Nova Scotia, asking them to explain me how was the plan of the studies and what were the conditions to be there. So and I was asking for a scholarship. Then I received an answer that they invited me to go to Canada and to improve the situation of their lives, especially with cooperatives. So when the time of the summer came, I went to Canada, and I stayed there for about a month and a half. But there were a few students from Africa, a few from India, Philippines, who were studying, trying to investigate more about the course, the studies of the training and preparing the people to create cooperatives. So I stayed there, and they were very, very kind with me, and I was living with the faculty of the university at that time, and I was trying to get involved also with the students from India or from Africa, knowing the problems they have in their own countries. So it was a very, very good experience and rich experience to see how people could work together to improve the economic situation of their life.
So, Moises, did you find that useful in your future work with people?
They make me to realize that when people get together and reflects on the situation of their lives, the problems, the difficulties, and when they try to realize that they must help each other and work each other, that not work in isolation, but yes, in a community move, then they improve. They were able to make the things, the economic situation, to overcome the economic problems and improve their lives.
Now, was there any explicitly Christian or gospel aspect to this?
The university is a Christian university, a Catholic university. The rector was a priest, a very nice man, and the people who were working there have the mind of the gospel.